God of War, a series so near and dear to my heart that a new skin is enough to convince me to boot it up and play it through again. My love for God of War is well documented, so I'll try my best to skip over the rambled gushing part and get right to the rambled analysis part. In case you didn't know, the 20th anniversary of the series recently came and went, and while I know a lot of people are chomping at the bit for a Greek Saga remake, I'm more interested in looking forward rather than backwards. That's not to say I don't want a remake, far from it. A modernized version of Kratos' tragic journey with updated but intact character action elements fueled by the power of the PS5? Sign me up. But when it comes to remakes, you kind of already know what you're gonna get, and that's not what this video is about. This video is about speculating the different avenues God of War as a series can go from a narrative and gameplay standpoint. Now, God of War Ragnarok and its subsequent DLC Valhalla left the series in a very good place. Kratos has finally reached a cathartic end to the masterclass of character development that started in God of War 2018, and Atreus has begun his own journey going to lands unknown to search for his mother's people, the Giants. This provides an incredibly easy springboard for the next chapter of the story. Atreus is searching for the Giants? Where? Well, it could be just about anywhere. We've had multiple references and outright appearances of characters from other mythologies in the series, so really, it's up to Santa Monica where they want to go. There are, however, three glaringly obvious choices: Japan, Mesoamerica, and Egypt. Out of the three, I believe Egypt is the most likely candidate. Historical Japan has received a lot of attention recently in gaming, not to mention the fact that another of Sony's first-party studios is releasing an open-world, third-person, story-driven game in that setting. As for Mesoamerica, while I would love for any game, let alone a God of War one, to approach this setting and explore Aztec or Mayan myth, from a marketing perspective, Egyptian mythology has more brand recognition, if you will. On top of that, you've got Egypt's close ties to Greece and how their mythologies have historically interacted through syncretism. I mean, there's even accounts by Greek poets Pindar and Nicander that when Typhon, father of monsters and walking natural disaster, attacked Zeus, the Greek gods fled to Egypt and transformed into animals, possibly becoming the Egyptian gods themselves. Remember this story for later. It will be important. But pretexts and pretenses aside, Egypt is an actual interesting setting. In fact, despite sitting almost at the top of the mytho-pop culture sphere, it has so much untapped potential. Yes, the baking deserts and lush banks of the River Nile would act as a stark difference to the snowy and ice-themed Norse games, but just like those games, the desert is not all Egypt has to offer. What I'm talking about is the Duat. What is the Duat? To keep things short and sweet, it's basically the ancient Egyptian underworld, a realm of the dead not dissimilar to Hell or Hades. Death was incredibly important to ancient Egyptians, and their belief system venerated that. Because of this, they had many gods that resided in the Duat and oversaw it. Osiris, god of the dead and king of the Duat; Anubis, Egyptian mythology's Psychopomp; Ma'at and Thoth, gods of order and knowledge respectively, who helped judge hearts and souls while Ammit awaited to devour those unworthy. Even Ra, perhaps the most important Egyptian god, made a nightly journey through the Duat on his sun barge. All of this to say that the Duat would most likely be just as much of a part of the setting as Egypt. The way I see it, the Duat would replace the 9 realms, with Egypt proper replacing Midgard, and just like the realms in Midgard, you would be able to travel to and from them. And the best part about an otherworldly plane of existence with no detailed textual description is that you can design it however you want. Never did I think I would play a game about Norse mythology with jungles and deserts, and yet, here we are. So in the same vein as the 9 realms contrasting the snowy north of Midgard, the Duat can provide a means to travel to all sorts of biomes, even though Egypt itself is fairly restricted environment-wise. Now let's get to the meat and potatoes of this ramble: story and gameplay. Let's start with the story. Here's what we know. Most likely Atreus will have a large part to play, and that part will be to search for where the Giants went. If you'll recall, to escape being wiped out by Odin, the Jotnar did 2 things. Most chose to seal their souls in marbles, but a select few chose to leave the 9 realms entirely. Where they went, we don't know. That's the semi-cliffhanger ending Ragnarok left off on. For a moment, do me a favour and indulge me, because I'm about to pull out the corkboard. The Giants left the 9 realms. How? Well, we know that it's not impossible to do so. Kratos and Mimir travelled to Midgard and Tyr has travelled all over. But a large group, some of which would be enormous, just waltzing out without anyone clocking them? That seems a bit far-fetched. Unless they left in a way that would let them disappear in the blink of an eye. What I'm suggesting is that the giants left the 9 realms using the Utengard. A refresher on that, it's the weird dust realm hidden inside the lore triptychs and also what Atreus used to travel to Jotunheim. It is also referred to as Ymir's dreams. You know Ymir, the primordial giant Odin killed and butchered, then used his flesh to fashion Midgard. Now we know in Norse myth that Odin created the entire world by doing this, but in the God of War universe, given the multiple pantheons and clashing creation myths, we'll just assume he created the slice of the planet in the north that's called Midgard. When Odin did this, a rift in reality was ripped open that made him go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in search of its origin. This rift, and the mask that supposedly lets you see through it, is the biggest unsolved mystery in God of War lore. Supposedly, this rift leads to a realm of pure, raw, conceptual creation. We'll circle back to the realm of creation in a bit. Right now, let's get back to the Utengard. This realm between realms is not part of Yggdrasil. It's not part of the 9 realms. It's sort of a pocket dimension that exists outside and also allows travel from one point to another. So what if the giants used the Utengard to get as far away from Midgard as possible, say Egypt? And that is what leads our young intrepid Atreus down south to the land of the sands. Now you're probably thinking, why Egypt? Well, this is going to be pure speculation from me, but the Utengard is said to be the dreams of the deceased Ymir. His death was so significant and monumental that it punched a hole in the universe that led to a realm of pure creation. This realm, I imagine, is where gods come from. All gods. Every pantheon that exists emerged from creation in the form of their respective progenitor deities, such as Ymir and the Greek primordials. And from them, the mortal world was born. And when gods die a true death, they go back to creation. What does this have to do with Egypt? Well, if creation is the source of all gods, then it would make sense that it connects them all too. The Utengard spawned after Ymir's death, same as the Rift. My theory is that they were intertwined, which would allow the Utengard to access other realms spawned by creation. Other realms, like the Duat. And so the giants fled through the Utengard into this otherworldly place, far from the eyes of Odin, hoping to find sanctuary. And Atreus is following their trail there. But what conflict would await him there? The Egyptian gods, sure, of course. But how and why? What could he possibly do to get on their bad side? Or maybe he doesn't do anything at all. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's someone else. An individual who arrived in their lands long ago, fleeing destruction and hoping to start anew. Who made Egypt their home and has used their knowledge and wisdom to take a seat amongst the gods. Someone who would see Atreus' mere presence in Egypt as a threat to their very existence. That's right, I'm talking about Athena, a goddess who was historically syncretized with the Egyptian war goddess Neith. Remember the story I told about the Greek gods fleeing to Egypt when Typhon attacked? What if Athena, after Kratos destroyed Greece, escaped to Egypt and set up shop there amongst the Egyptian pantheon? In this hypothetical story, she would have pulled a similar move to Mimir, aka Puck, arriving after Exodus and flaunting her knowledge in the hopes that the gods would want it. She would then live comfortably and happily until the son of Kratos arrives in her new home and her Greek trilogy PTSD kicks in. Then boom! Conflict. And of course, when Kratos inevitably gets wind of Athena and the Egyptian gods making an enemy of his son, he is called back into the fray and makes his own way to Egypt to save him. Now, there's no point in speculating on the finer details of the story because there's really no way of knowing what will happen. Before release, and even while playing it, I had no idea where God of War 2018 was going to go. So let's jump to the gameplay. The most important thing the next God of War needs to do is spice up the gameplay loop. If you were to ask just me, I think the combat in the new game is perfect. It feels great to play, the weapons are some of the most fantastically crafted in gaming, and it has just enough variety to be as shallow or deep as you want it to be. But a new saga needs new ideas. So here's my proposition. You play as Atreus. He has his bow, but he has no signature weapons. Instead, he'll use whatever he comes across in the world. In my head, it would work similar to God of War Ascension mixed with Breath of the Wild. There would be set weapon types that Atreus can find and wield, either taking them from enemies or discovering them littered around the world. Swords, axes, spears, daggers, shields, and so on and so forth. The best part? Thanks to Greece's history with Egypt, it'll be easy to have both Egyptian and Greek weapons in the world. Imagine assembling a full-on Spartan kit for Atreus to cut through Duat demons with. Of course, our boy will still have his magic. And since magic, aka Heku, is also deeply rooted in ancient Egyptian belief, Atreus would find all sorts of spells to enhance his power. Oh, and maybe to balance things, you'd have to choose whether you want to invest in magic or weapon skills, like Sorcerer Atreus is one path and Warrior Atreus is another. I don't know. At this point, I'm just letting my mind train run off with this particular idea. Now, this concept would be a dramatic departure from the God of War formula, which is undoubtedly a double-edged sword. It could be the shake-up the series needs, or it could leave a bad taste in the mouths of longtime fans. My solution? About a third of the way through the game, something happens. At this point, you've only been playing as Atreus, so let's say our boy gets captured or injured. Anything that would put him out of commission temporarily. Then, we cut to Kratos. He's been making his way to Egypt this whole time, perhaps after getting a warning from someone like, Angrboda, that Atreus is clashing with the Egyptian gods. And when we take control of him, we get back the Leviathan axe, the Blades of Chaos, and the Dropnir spear. This would be akin to getting halfway through God of War 2018 and going absolutely insane when you find out that you get the Blades of Chaos. 4 old friends back all at once for a taste of the new now old God of War. In terms of game design, this is asking a lot, which is why I think Atreus not having signature weapons is necessary. It would allow for the more intricate weapon system to be saved for Kratos, who is also, no doubt, going to get a new weapon in Egypt too. So that's the combat, but what about traversal? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. In my eyes, large, dense, interconnected zones are the way to go. Make them a little bigger, sure, but resist the urge to go full expansive open world. That is, unless you believe you can fill it with interesting things that'll catch every eye that passes it. Plus, with the likely lack of a PS4 version, the SSD can do its thing and eliminate the hidden loading screens when traveling. Oh, and mounts. Atreus has gotta get a mount. I mean, he's already halfway there. Oh, or even better, transformation. Let that kid turn into a horse, or a jackal, or a camel, or a hawk. I don't know, just let him sprint around and I guess fly? I mean, that's a whole other avenue of traveling flight, which maybe leave that out. It might complicate things a bit too much. So yeah, just go crazy within reason. And there you have it. That's my concept for a brand new God of War. It's a lot, I know, and yet there are still so many things I could ramble about. Like how interesting it would be to see Athena and Kratos, siblings who have essentially done the exact same thing, i.e. move to another pantheon and assimilate, interact. To see Athena's reaction to a changed Kratos, to see if Egypt has changed her too, and how Kratos would react to that. To watch an older Atreus come into his own, meet new people, forge new bonds, and nurture the ones he has already made. And Egyptian mythology through the lens of Santa Monica, the gods and creatures rendered in their style. Ra, Osiris, Isis, Sobek, Taroret, Sekhmet, Anubis, Horus, Set. Speaking of Horus and Set, maybe the story could incorporate a retelling of their conflict of succession, with the latter being the true villain and Athena simply acting as an antagonist out of fear of Kratos. That could even play into the story being set more around political intrigue within the court of the gods, and that's without going into the wider birth of God of War lore that would connect into it through the realm of creation and the mask. I mean, the mask had Egyptian hieroglyphics on it. If that's not proof that these pantheons are connected through this rift, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay, I have to stop. I go on forever if you let me. Anyway, there is a 99.9% chance all of what I said in this video is bull and won't come to fruition. But it's fun to speculate, especially when it's about one of my favorite video game series of all time. And in truth, It doesn't matter if we don't know where the series is going. I trust Sony Santa Monica to deliver. So after 20 years, here's to God of War and all the amazing people who have worked to make it so beloved. And here's to the future, which will undoubtedly be bright. Hey, how's it going? Thank you for watching my video and making it all the way to the end. If you liked it, I've got a couple of others that are about God of War and many more that aren't. My videos are usually just about me rambling about, pop culture, things that I like, tropes that I like, stories that I like. If that's up your alley, feel free to take a look. And I'd really appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, shared, you know the drill, you know the jazz. So that's all from me. I'll see you folks later. Have a good one.